everyone, how are we today? Just doing our shadow work reading for the full moon. If you haven't watched the channel before, we do the shadow work readings once a month, every full moon. Make sure you are subscribed so you can keep an update for those and for all the other readings as well, of course. Now, this is the strawberry moon, the full moon in Sagittarius. Although it is a bit weird this particular full moon, because the actual placement in the sky, the moon will actually be still located with the Scorpio astrological. The stars of Scorpio are going to be in the sky with that full moon, as well as Antares, which is the giant red star there. So it's still a lot of Scorpio fieriness, but it's actually working for us rather than against us with this full moon. We also have Venus leaving Aries and moving into Taurus, so it does bring a lot more softness and love along with this full moon. So this particular full moon shadow work message is a lot more about, it's some people are calling it the manifestation moon, where it's really a much more positive shadow work energy, helping us get out of those places where we have been a little bit stuck. It does have a lot of luck, breakthroughs within self, shaking out those patterns where we have been stuck, like I said. It's a very energetic full moon, forward focused as well, focusing on the future and moving forward, pursuing your goals, taking risks, turning your wishes into actions, and not being afraid to think big and take big leaps into action with this full moon. Okay, so it will be obviously affecting Sagittarius the most likely there. Gemini will also be feeling that, being that we are in Gemini season, as well as Virgo and Pisces still getting the after effects of that there as well. For everybody else, you may still, depending on your placements and things like that, you're more than welcome to check multiple placements in these readings. For the shadow work readings, I do highly suggest your moon placement as the priority after your sun. So very positive kind of full moon shadow work energy this time around. It's kind of allowing us to face the shadow side of ourselves in a much more positive kind of a way, where we're able to, it's kind of that energy of where we're taking action about the things that we don't like about ourselves or in our life, and we're taking action now to actually, manifest different things or move towards different things. So a very positive shadow work session for us today. Now, today I am going to be actually using, as our overview cards, I've got the True Love Oracle. Okay, so, being that, like I said, it is going to be, a much more loving, soft full moon. I thought, this as our overview of topic for your shadow work may actually work a lot better this particular month. We do have the red hand lenormand that we will be clarifying messages with, and I will also be getting everybody sort of a positive message here, moving forward with the healing light oracle cards as well. Okay, so as always, timestamps will be in the description box. This time around, being that it is the full moon in Sagittarius, we're going to start from Sagittarius and work our way all the way back around. Okay, so like I said, timestamps in the description box. Any of my details that you're after for personal readings, all that sort of stuff, so other social media, all in that description box as well. Okay, so starting us off. Okay, Sagittarius. What does Sagittarius need to know this month for their shadow work? Shadow work messages for Sagittarius. Your shadow work this month, we're looking at the topic here of the distorted feminine. Okay, so that's a very interesting energy there. That is, the difference between the distorted and the divine feminine within ourselves. So everybody does have that balance of feminine and masculine energy. We are seeing issues around the distorted feminine coming through for you. So for a lot of you, this is the way that we're dealing with love, the way that we're dealing with emotion. Okay, and rather than nurturing those emotions in a positive way, where sort of allowing some of those negative emotions to take control. The distorted feminine can be, use their emotions to manipulate or, you know, guilt trip people and that sort of stuff. So being very, very careful about things like that, victimization of self, pardon me, all those sorts of issues, anything that's a negative impact from emotions comes through with that distorted feminine, where it's not actually working through those emotions and healing from those emotions and turning those negative emotions into positive things. It's allowing ourselves to get stuck in the negative emotions and causing even more emotional chaos within ourselves. But we'll clarify that here, Sagittarius, with the Lenormand. Shadow work messages for Sagittarius. What does Sagittarius need to know for their shadow work message? Firstly, we see the stork coming through here. Okay, so we do sort of find there's new ideas popping up here. The stork really does stir things up. It's stirring up those patterns that you've been stuck in on emotional stuff, where you maybe have been realizing, oh look, I do tend to get stuck in this one particular emotion, or I'm using that emotion against others around me in my life, those sorts of things. It's stirring up the idea within you that, do you know what, I really want to change that. I want to try to approach that from a different kind of way. It's really like, this full moon may actually stir some shit. I'm not going to lie, emotionally there may be some strong emotions popping up for you here, especially to do with this ruins energy. Okay, we have the ruins there, so that kind of shows us the things that we feel have broken down in our life, the things that have sort of decayed or rotted away or become, one with the past. All right. So things that are, for a lot of you, it may be, deep in your history, and we're still having a way of dealing with love and emotions that is sort of set from things that have happened many, many years ago. It's kind of like the ruins of the past are still impacting your present and your future here. So thinking about, the ways that, the things that you've lost and the things that have broken down in the past with your life, and the way that you dealt with those things emotionally. Are we still dealing with things, in the same way that we were, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that sort of thing? I nearly said 10 or 11 years ago. So there may be something specifically there for some of you Sagittarius that did happen around, 10 or 11 years ago, that we are still, very, very stuck in the emotions from that time period, and we're bringing them forward into our present and our future. So maybe needing to think a little bit there about that and what that might be for you personally. But it's time to sort of break free from that pattern, and you're having this breakthrough this full moon, and it's time to start manifesting new ways of dealing with these things, and not allowing those emotions to manipulate you and keep you in that victim mindset. You're not a victim, you're a survivor of that. Okay, so it's really, stirring up the idea of a new way of dealing with things, an idea of, that maybe there's a reason that went to ruin in your life, that didn't work out the way that you wanted. And it's kind of like a final acceptance, a final sort of closure for something, I feel, for a lot of you here, this full moon, and moving forward and finding new ways to do things. We do also have the garden coming through. So we do see, there may be some important meetings coming through around this time period as well. This can actually be a lot of random things too, because with the garden there, I am also picking up that, with this particular full moon, one of the things that it wants us to do is just take risks and, leap into the unknown a little bit more here. You never know what could happen kind of energy. And so something I saw in one of the articles I was looking at was, it's a good time to just spark a conversation with a stranger. And that's kind of what I'm getting here for you, Sagittarius, that, just sparking random conversations or taking a chance to, do something a little bit out of the norm for yourself when it comes to social stuff, it may actually really help spark this energy off for you and help you move forward in some kind of way here. So this is all about, meeting up with friends and going out, being sociable at this time, being out in the public eye a little bit more at the moment, Sagittarius. So getting out of the house and even if it's just to go for a walk through the park and things like that, just getting a little bit out of your comfort zone, I suppose, stirring yourself up a little bit to do things differently than what you have sort of habitually done things in the past here. Advice for Sagittarius for this full moon, please. Advice for Sagittarius for this full moon, please. Concentrate. Okay, I focus on what's inside of me. When negativity rises within me, I transform it into light and hope. Okay, so there really is this need at the moment to concentrate on those negative things that are rising within you, from your emotions, it would seem, with that distorted feminine coming through, the things about yourself that, if you see that quality about somebody, you would say, oh, that person is a sook or a bitch or a, negative feminine things. Anything negative that would normally be associated with feminine energy, those sorts of things. Concentrate on what stirs up within you when you think about those sorts of things, and transforming it into light and hope to be able to change those things that you dislike about yourself. It's not necessarily that these are bad things. It's just that this is coming through as part of your darkness that you do need to sort of face and accept and incorporate into a new way of being, and turning it into that light and hope, so that you can actually use that to push you further forwards. Okay, Sagittarius, so that's what we have for you. More than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to Capricorn. Okay, just dropped one of those cards, picking that up, getting those timestamps ready for Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn. What does Capricorn need to know for shadow work this month? Full moon in Sagittarius. What does Capricorn need to, I want to say, pursue? What does Capricorn need to be aware of for shadow work this month, please? Resolving conflict, Capricorn. It does feel, I just want to point out here in this candle down the bottom here, it says love. And we do see this feminine energy, sharing her light with this person sitting down in the darkness. So I feel like for a lot of you, this is, all internal conflict that we're looking at. There's this little part of you that's sort of deep down in that shadow of yourself, hiding away in the shadow. And it's time to really pour some light and love into that little shadow version of yourself, Capricorn. To really love all of yourself, even the parts that are a little bit darker and more daunting and a little bit scary. The parts of you that are unhealed, the innocent little child that is still struggling and in conflict. It's resolving conflict, so that you're not fighting. You're not fighting to be good, to be in the light all the time, Capricorn. It's about resolving that conflict of feeling like you have to be good all the time, that it's okay for you to be the truth of who you are. And sometimes that means that, we all have that little dark, darkness and light. They're actually balanced, and it's actually good to have darkness and light within yourself. It's more about using the dark to propel the light and charge up the light and empower your light a little bit more here. But don't be afraid of the darkness either, Capricorn. It's time to resolve that conflict between the good and bad of yourself, and just start accepting that, hang on, as a whole, this is just me. Okay, Capricorn, but we'll clarify here as well. Capricorn, shadow work message for our Capricorns, please. Oh, okay. I'm getting a pretty specific message here, Capricorn. The first card I've got is the Star. Okay, which if you watch the intro there, this full moon, there is about turning wishes into actions, was something I said in the intro there. So this is, taking big leaps of faith here in order to have your wishes manifest for yourself and have your desires come true, to be hopeful and optimistic that, what, I am focused on the forward, the goals and the dreams, and I've got the energy to start moving towards them, start taking action towards those dreams coming true for myself, that I'm going to manifest those wishes come true for myself here. I just want to double check, because my intuition is telling me one thing here. It's coming through with a very direct message. So I just want to clarify that middle card for Capricorn, just to make sure, I do trust my intuition, but I am getting a very specific message. And we are trying to do a collective reading, so I don't want that to suit just, one or two Capricorns. I want that to be a collective message for everybody. Clarify the central card for Capricorn, please. Okay, it is still clarifying pretty heavily the specific message I was getting, but it's giving me a little bit of extra depth and understanding on that as well. So that card that I was clarifying, we have the ruins coming through. So this is something from your past, Capricorn. This is something that, you thought was dead and gone. You thought that this was fallen apart, that this was gone to ruin, that this was, decaying in your life. It was in the past, and, a historical event for you, Capricorn. So with the stars there as well, though, this is something that you thought had gone to ruin, but there is still wishes there that it hadn't gone to ruin, or that it hadn't been ruined. It's like, that lost civilization within yourself that you wish was not lost to you, that you're wanting to, find the last survivor and restart that civilization and, all over again. So for some of you, the very specific message I am getting here, and that, I do have the two cards here clarifying that, one of which is this candle. So for some of you, this is actually the ruin of a past relationship that you still have desire towards, that you still wish for some sort of resolution, that you maybe do wish to resolve conflict, with the ruin of this, that you want to resolve that and no longer allow that to stand in ruin, that you want to, because what's the word when it comes to architecture? I can't remember the word, but it's like, that there's an old building that's gone to ruin, but they want to bring it back to new and rebuild it, and, keep all the old structure, but rebuild it and make it brand new. I can't remember the word. And I know the word. It's going to drive me insane. I'll remember it after I finish filming, I bet. So for some of you, like very specifically for a couple of you, this is a romantic relationship that you thought was ruined, and you want to repair that and bring that back into current. Which, for those of you where that specific message is the case, communication on the way. Okay, so there will be some sort of communication in order to resolve this conflict. Okay, so for a lot of you, you may actually be the one sparking that conversation, that communication, in order to resolve that conflict. So just keep that in mind there, that this is your shadow work at the moment, Capricorn, that if you don't want that to be a ruin of the past anymore, that it may be up to you to spark communication here in order to resolve that conflict and give give your light back to the darkness of that and resolve that conflict. The other card I had clarifying that is the Mountain. So that is the Capricorn card. So for others of you, this is just all an internal thing, okay? It may not be, you may not actually be communicating directly with this past romantic partner. This may actually just be all happening internally, where you're needing to resolve the conflict of the past, the things that have been lost to time in your life when it comes to love. The things that you did, that you still you have that burning flame for those things. You are still burning that flame for this connection, for this person. But for some of you, you're doing this all internally. You don't actually necessarily have to communicate with this person themselves in order to resolve this conflict within you. It does talk about putting in the hard work, persevering within oneself, communication coming through in that form of writing, okay, communicating, so I feel for a lot of you, this is, writing it out. Write out those feelings, Capricorn, and really write down, what would I want from this situation if that person were to come back into my life? How would I resolve that conflict with this person? What would need to happen in order to resolve that conflict? Is there any actionable steps I can take towards my true desires of resolving this conflict? Or is this just something I need to work through? It's kind of like getting pen to paper and working through it all, with it all right there in front of you, Capricorn. You can do that in multiple ways. It doesn't necessarily need to be pen to paper. It can be, voice notes on your, that's what I like to do. Sometimes I keep diary entries on my voice notes to myself, work through things just by saying them aloud to myself. You can talk to a friend, talk to someone that cares about you, or someone who can help you, like like a therapist or something like that as well. It's all about resolving the conflict that exists within you from that situation. And I'm not going to lie, it may take a little bit of hard work, but if anyone's willing to put in hard work, it's you, Capricorn. This is the Capricorn card for a reason. That it's kind of letting us know too that there is possibility here. The stars always sit at the very tippy top of that mountain. And so this is something that can be overcome just with a little bit of perseverance and determination to overcome this for yourself and resolve this conflict within yourself, Capricorn. Advice for Capricorn. Advice for Capricorn this full moon. Unconditional love. Having unconditional love towards yourself, Capricorn. I have no resentment towards others. I open my mind's eye and find the good in everyone. I see the pure child in everyone, and I practice forgiveness. So that's a big, strong thing about how we can, give our light to that darkness, giving that, that unconditional love, seeing the pure child and forgiving the darkness, because, that little dark place within you, Capricorn, that is, it's just a child crying out for love, and giving yourself that love is going to, really help resolve that conflict within you. That an innocent child, they're not the ones that have done all the things wrong here. I feel for a lot of you that there's just some parts of you that are unhealed, and that little child is kind of like feeling like they did everything wrong. Whereas, it was a child that they did what they knew. That's all they knew how to do. So, regardless of whether we're talking about an actual child, your actual childhood, I don't feel like that's the case for some of you. I feel like it's more to do with your inner child. And, a child is innocent in this world. They don't know yet, good and bad. That's something that they have to be taught. And they, there's a sweetness and an innocence about children. And so remembering that there is that sweetness and innocence about that little tiny version of yourself that's hiding deep down in the darkness there, Capricorn, finding the good in everyone, even yourself. And for those of you where this is a specific person, really trying to think about them. Maybe they hurt people. Maybe that's why that person hurt you so much, Capricorn, because deep down they're just this tiny little child crying out for help and love. Okay, so that may help, resolve that issue for you there, Capricorn. Some of you are going to be taking action towards communicating directly with that person. So I'm just picking that up there as well, Capricorn. But you are more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Aquarians. Okay, Aquarius. Aquarius. Shadow work message for Aquarius. What does Aquarius need to know for their shadow work this month, please? Maturity, Aquarius. Very interesting topic for you here, Aquarius. For some reason, Aquarius, this is coming through very, very heavily with themes of responsibility. Responsibility. Not the most fun stuff. Maturity and responsibility and doing what needs to be done. Sometimes they're not the easiest things to face. So, Aquarius, this month you're being asked to sort of look at that little part of yourself that be very truthful with yourself, Aquarius, that there is some immaturity that needs to be recognized. And I suppose, understand that there's some obligations and responsibilities that need to be handled with maturity rather than that immaturity. And so there is a few little ways of needing to develop, needing to learn and develop just a little bit more. I do feel that this is actually the biggest part of this for you, Aquarius. I'm just picking up intuitively here. The biggest part of this shadow work message is the recognizing it, the recognition and acceptance that I do still need to learn. I do still need to, grow and mature with the way that I'm dealing with, XYZ. It's a lot of different things for a lot of you, but I think that that's the hard part, is taking that first step to even be honest with yourself about the areas and aspects where you are being a little bit immature, or it's not that you're being immature, it's that you don't know how. You haven't learned yet a more mature approach for that. Some of you are very aware already and you're in denial, not going to lie. Shadow work messages can get a little bit confronting, guys. But we'll clarify that with the lenormand, okay? So it's not allowing yourself to live in the fantasy land anymore. Needing, because that's coming from a place of immaturity. You're needing to be very honest with yourself about, am I actually being mature here? Am I putting the right things as the number one things? Am I actually being or behaving responsibly in this situation? Aquarius, shadow work message for Aquarius, please. I'm also picking up that for some of you here, there is a mentor available to you as well. Definitely mentors available around you. We do have the moon coming through first. So this is why it's hard, because there's a lot of emotions attached to this, and it's easier to, like I said, these messages can be a little bit confronting sometimes, Aquarius. As soon as I said the emotions, I'm sort of seeing somebody having a childish little tantrum, about something, allowing those emotions to get the better of you. And it's coming through for some of you, very quite literally as a tantrum that you may be having about something or towards someone. It's like, this didn't go my way, so I'm just going to have a little tanny about it. And you know that that's not the most mature approach to be dealing with this. I feel like for a lot of you, deep down, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The moon also is the card of like intuition. So I feel like a lot of you do intuitively have a bit of an idea what that is for you personally, that you are being a little bit, or it's not that you're being immature. Once again, it's just that you just need to heighten your maturity. You need to learn how, new ways to mature and grow and learn about how to do things and how to say things and things like that. We do have the beetle coming through, which is, all about teamwork. So, it's kind of giving me that phrase, it takes a village, and that's okay, that you don't have to take all these responsibilities onto your shoulders, immediately. That sometimes it's like, you know what, I've got, these things, I want to start to try to take on these responsibilities, but look, I don't know how. Can you help me? Can you show me? Can you, show me how to carry the load? Or, can I watch how you do things, and that sort of stuff. So I do feel that for some of you that there is this element of working as a team with others around you to really help you learn and grow and be able to take on these obligations and responsibilities, and to be able to mature in the ways that you need to here. I'm also picking up that for some of you it's like teamwork in the sense of just asking, because it's asking for delegation kind of thing, that, if, oh, Aquarius talking to a friend, friend, what do you think is a way that I could practice maturity? What is something I could do that would be more mature than the way I'm handling this now? Those sorts of things. And that's the teamwork. It's kind of, it's just relying on others a little bit more, Aquarius, relying on others a little bit more, because we do have the stars coming through as well, which is your card. So we do see you, front and center here, star of the show. But it's showing us that, just with a little bit of work and a little bit of, teamwork to help you handle the emotional load, that you can achieve the goals of maturity that you're seeking here. Because I feel like for a lot of you, you actually want to mature. You actually want to learn and grow and reach the pinnacle of what you sort of see for yourself in the future. This is hitting those goals. This is, having the hope and optimism to know that, it's part of my journey. It's time to grow up a little bit, and it's time to, think about things a little bit more maturely than what I maybe have been thinking about that or dealing with that certain thing. But advice for Aquarius when it comes to shadow work. Advice for Aquarius with their shadow work, please. Guideline. We have the guideline card there. In times of uncertainty, I ask God to guide me to the light. I follow the guidance to find the door to the light. I release my destiny to God, and my faith is rewarded. Okay, so you don't have to consider that God if you don't believe in God. I personally would usually say the universe, asking the universe, asking your spirit guides to guide you to the light, following the guidance around you. So, once again, asking for help, trusting others, relying on others a little bit more to, guide you and help show you the way, releasing your destiny and allowing your faith to be rewarded. That, there's that hope and optimism there that, I have faith that all my dreams will come true. I have faith that I will reach these goals, and you will, because, your faith will be rewarded, your wishes will be fulfilled. Okay, so very positive message for you there, Aquarius. I feel like this might be a really good full moon for you. It's just bringing up some growth. Time to just grow a little bit more, mature mature a little bit more. Because, you know, what's one of the main things, the main keywords that comes alongside maturity? Wisdom. So that's what this kind of is all about, is just inner wisdom, moving forward into a place where we are just a little bit more wise. Doesn't mean you have to be, you know, old and grey wizard type maturity. It's just, you know, being a little bit more wise and acting from that wisdom rather than from acting from a place where, you know, we're allowing the emotions to take over and just throw things all over the place for us. Okay, so that's what we have for you today, Aquarius. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Pisces. Okay, Pisces. Pisces, what does Pisces need to know right now in regard to shadow work message? Shadow work message for our Pisces. Okay, Pisces. I'm just going to reshuffle that because I'm like, that was the exact same card I had for Aquarius. If you are on the cusp of Aquarius, you may want to go and check the Aquarius placements there. It just doesn't feel right for you, Pisces. So I'm just going to reshuffle and make sure I'm grabbing the most important thing for Pisces to look at in regard to shadow work, please. Okay, we have connection coming through. So this is a full moon where, you know, love is highlighted. Yeah. As I mentioned in the intro, Venus is leaving Aries and moving into Taurus. So it is bringing a lot more softness and love with it, this particular full moon. And it is a very forward-focused full moon. So it is actually asking about, you know, where do we want connection? Where do we want to move forward into when it comes to connection? I do feel like for a lot of you, this is specifically love connections and romance and all that sort of fun stuff. What is the universe trying to tell you about connection, Pisces? I do sort of feel that quite a lot of you have been ignoring some of the connection signs here. I know you probably can't really see that, but that little white strip going around this dancing couple there is all music notes. Okay, we do have a letter here as well as the champagne glasses pointing to potential communication and needing to talk about where we're wanting to go when it comes to love connections. I feel like for a lot of you, it's about, you know, not where I am right now when it comes to connection, but where do I want that to be within my own self? You know, what do I want from connections? And, you know, because I was actually talking to my Pisces friend just the other day about this and about, like, you know, should we continue healing journeys before we're allowing ourselves to be concerned about connections? And I'm kind of feeling like this is relevant to you here, Pisces, as a collective, that, you know, on one hand, it's fine and well to say, you know, I want to be the healed version of myself before I enter into connections, and I want to, you know, hold off on connections until I feel more healed and ready for that type of connection. But then it comes, you know, on the other hand, you've got like, but what would happen if you met that ideal person tomorrow? Are you going to turn them away because you're saying, okay, no, I'm not going to take this chance when it's offered because, you know, I just want to heal more, and then maybe miss out on that opportunity forever? This full moon is asking you to take, you know, big leaps and big chances on things. And I feel like this is one of them, Pisces, where what would you do if the ideal connection came tomorrow? And, you know, because like on that other hand, you've got, well, if that that ideal connection, if they truly were the ideal connection for you, Pisces, they would grow with you, and they would know that you need to heal, and they would help you heal, and help you be the best version of yourself for the connection and for yourself. So not allowing things to stop you. I feel, Pisces, is part of this message for you here when it comes to connection. But we'll have a look with the lenormand. Pisces, shadow work messages for Pisces, please. Shadow work messages for our Pisces. We have opportunities available, Pisces. We have the key coming through first. So there is potential, successful connections and opportunities for successful connections open to you. Are you going to open your heart to those opportunities? Or, we have the moon followed by the void here, Pisces. Are you going to allow your negative emotions to continue to draw you down and down and down into this void, down into your shadow? It kind of feels like for a lot of you that your shadow work message is actually asking you to not drag yourself down into the shadows too much, that your emotions are trying to pull you down, kind of thing, that your emotions are kind of telling you to just wallow in the void, to wallow in the abyss. Once again, it's bringing up that poem that I've mentioned a few times in videos recently, about the abyss. If you're interested in that, I have posted it on my my Facebook for the YouTube. It's a beautiful poem, and it's all about clawing your way back up out of the abyss, rather than allowing your emotions to wallow, because that's what this feels like. It feels like wallowing in the past and allowing yourself to fall further and further and further into the shadow, allowing the shadow, the doubt, the fear of love and connection to override opening yourself up to the potential. And bit of a hard one, Pisces. I have been getting advice cards with the next oracle there, but I am going to get I just want to see just one advice for Pisces here. Advice for Pisces when it comes to shadow work, please. We have the ring. We have connection as your advice. To connect to others, to open yourself up to opportunity and not block all the opportunity because we're so busy, stuck in our own darkness, stuck in our own emotions. To avoid the darkness, not avoid the darkness, but to, do you know what, even though I have this darkness, even though I still need to, claw my way up out of this abyss, even though I need to, move through this in a different kind of a way, I'm not going to avoid connection. Maybe what I need is connection to help draw me out of the shadow. I do kind of feel for a lot of you here, Pisces, that a lot of you are telling yourself connection is not the answer, whereas my cards are telling me connection is the answer for your healing, for your growth, Pisces. And you know what, I don't want to put the onus on you that you all have to go and, find love connections tomorrow. Not at all. But starting to open up and connect more just with the people that you already love, the people that you already have in your life, that are love connections on a platonic sense, friends, family, that sort of stuff. Opening up a little bit more about that to them and opening yourself up a little bit more, and being willing, at least willing, I suppose, to explore opportunities. Because with that key, there is a lot of doors opening to you, but you're kind of choosing to slam them all shut and just turn around and walk back down into the darkness. Do you really want to live in the darkness of yourself, Pisces? Do you really want to be in the shadow and make, and have to continually deal more and more and more with shadow work type stuff? I kind of feel like for a lot of you that the connection is the answer, because it actually helps you break free from this cycle of shadow, and finding light in the darkness is what you kind of need right now. And I feel like the light is connection for you, Pisces. But we'll have a look with the healing light cards as well. Pisces, advice for Pisces with shadow work, please. Pisces, self-respect. So, we're not losing our self-respect by embracing connection at all. I follow my heart. My heart knows what's good for me. I respect my limits. I answer the requests of my body and soul. As a result, I learn to love myself. So your soul is asking for connection, and, for some of you, you already know that you want that connection, but you're telling yourself that no, I can't do that to someone. I can't put myself on someone because I'm just not healed enough. I'm not ready. That kind of thing. But you're ready. You're more ready than you think, Pisces. And sometimes we learn the most when we're not ready. Sometimes that non-readiness helps us, and then the lesson comes along and helps propel you forward. So, take a chance on opening up a little bit more, Pisces, to connection. So that's what we have for you. You're more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Aries. Okay, Aries, shadow work messages for our Aries, please. What does Aries need to know for their shadow work this month? Whoa, okay. Luminosity, Aries. Shine bright like a diamond. Just 1 second, I've just got to grab that off the floor where it flew across the other side of the room. Okay, Aries, throwing yourself at me, or away from me, actually. Luminosity, all right? Shine bright like a diamond. See how bright that one is shining. So you're throwing your light out everywhere except for where it should be, is coming through there with that. But you're kind of, some of you, you're not shining that light inward. You're shining that light out to all the wrong places. It keeps telling me the same thing, that you're shining that light out to the wrong, you're throwing it over there when you should be throwing it over here. You're sharing your light with the wrong people, for some of you, with the wrong things, expending energy on the wrong things at the moment, Pisces. Oh, sorry. Some of you maybe, have strong Pisces, or on the cusp, or dealing with a Pisces, for me to say that. I know that we are talking to Aries. Aries. Shadow work message for our Aries. Yes, Aries. Shadow work message for Aries, please. Firstly, we have the snake, Aries. Not going to lie, there is a little bit of self-deception here, that, you're just focusing on how brightly you're shining. Because we also have the fox there, Aries. So it's kind of like you like I just said, you're focusing on the fact that you're shining, and not exactly what you're shining onto. You're being a little bit shadow work messages can be a little bit confronting sometimes. Okay, so I'm sorry in advance, Aries. You are being a little bit egotistical, a little bit selfish at the moment with the focus on self. That look at me shine, look at me shine. But are you actually shining that light to the right things? You do seem to have some illusions in place. You know, and selfishness isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's something that we all do, you know, to protect ourselves. It's, you know, it's coming from a place of survival and independence, and, you know, oh, look at me, I'm so happy that I can shine, which is, you know, yes, it's fantastic, but it's coming through in your shadow work message so that you can fine tune it a little bit more, Aries. With the snake here, there might be some false passions, some things that you are spending time with or doing or whatever, that you're telling yourself that you're very, you know, passionate towards those things, but it's part of the illusion that you're putting so much light, like not realizing that it's your light that is making those things shine. It's they only look good because your light is telling you that they look good. It's if you took away your positivity towards that, your passion towards that, and looked at that in a more intelligent, rational kind of a way, you would realize that it doesn't actually shine anywhere near as bright as you tell yourself that it does, or that, you know, or that it appears to you, because it's actually your light. It's not the thing's light. Like I do feel that for some of you this is job specific. For some of you here, this is job specific. So I'm going to just use that as the example, that it's like you're doing this job and you're telling yourself, oh, I love that about this job. I love this. I love this job. I love this job. Or, you know, I that's my ideal job. But you're not realizing that it's your qualities that make that ideal. It's not that it's actually your ideal job. It's that there's something about you that makes it ideal, and the way that you're telling yourself that that's your ideal doesn't actually mean that it is actually your ideal job. You know, your skills may actually shine even brighter elsewhere. It's kind of like you're just getting a little bit wrapped up in your own light and confused. It's just confusing you a little bit here, I feel, Aries. Which is odd, you know. It's fantastic for you to be, you know, shining. That is a really positive energy, to be shining so brightly. But it's just kind of like you've got passion and optimism and hope towards not necessarily the right places at the moment. There, you know, because I feel as though if you took away your light, that this, you know, this ideal job is deceiving you in some way. It's going to be betraying you in some way. It's going to, you know, they are being selfish in a way as well. That it's weird. It's a weird energy here, that it's kind of like, because you're putting the spotlight on how good that is, you're allowing yourself to believe that it's good. But I don't think in reality that it actually is. It may be good, it may be great, but I feel as though it's because of your light. It's not necessarily because of, it. Whereas if you focus your light somewhere else, it's going to be just as good because of your light. It's you. It's not the thing. We also have the ship coming through here, which I feel like is telling you that it's time to start moving on to fresh waters. It's time to start a new journey, a new adventure for yourself here, Aries. So it's time to see through the illusion and start a new journey and understand that you're the one with the guiding light. Wherever you are, it's going to be good. It's not necessarily, allowing yourself to believe where you are right now, because that's keeping you trapped a little bit here. It's wherever you decide to journey towards, that's where the light is going, because you are there, Aries. So I just feel as though for a lot of you, the shadow work is actually seeing through to the truth of other things around you. It's not necessarily internal for you this month, Aries. It's seeing the truth of is that really ideal in your life, whether it's a job, whether it's a person, whatever that is for you in your life. Is that actually ideal, or is it your perception of it making it ideal? It does seem to be time to actually put some distance and think about that a little bit more objectively. Maybe take some time away to really see it without your light on it, if that makes sense. Aries. Advice for Aries with their shadow work, please. Unconditional love. I have no resentment towards others. I open my mind's eye and find the good in everyone. I see the pure child in everyone, and I practice forgiveness. So, that's part of that luminosity is showing unconditional love, not only to the things and the people around you, but also to yourself. That, look, I have no resentment for this thing not being actually as beautiful as I've made it out to be, but I choose to move a different direction now. I see the purity and innocence in my belief towards that thing, but I'm ready to actually look at it a little bit more objectively and show myself some unconditional love by realizing that looks so good because I look so good kind of energy there, Aries. You are more than welcome to check your other placements. For you, Aries, I do actually feel this month very strongly to advise you to check your moon placement as well. It may just give you an extra layer of information in regard to what that's all about for you there, Aries. Okay, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and we will move on over to our Taurus. Okay, Taurus, what does Taurus need to know right now in regard to shadow work? Shadow work messages for our Taurus. Your messages are just not wanting to come out today, Taurus. Hang on. Taurus Collective, please. Shadow work messages for Taurus. Full moon, June 2025. What does Taurus need to know for their shadow work message, please? Reparenting yourself, Taurus. I think why I'm struggling to get a good read on the Taurus energy here is I am actually getting two sets of collective energy coming through. The second energy for Taurus collective, please. Shadow work. Love. Okay. So that's why I'm getting two energies there, okay? Because this message is not going to be for everybody. All right. Put it that way. There's part of the Taurus collective. You're good. You're all good. You actually are good. You don't really need to face the demons this month. You just need to focus on love and promoting love in your life and the people and the things that you love in your life, and enjoy love. Enjoy love. Some of you are fine. You don't need to do shadow work this month. That's not always the case. Definitely not. I do feel as though for a lot of the Taurus that are getting this message, that you've done a lot of work already, and it's time to just take a chill, take 5 and have a break from the shadow work, because you've been doing a lot of healing already. You have been very, very focused on doing shadow work and healing and growing and learning your lessons and things like that. There is still some of the collective coming through, though, for the shadow work. So I kind of feel like you will know that you're part of that first collective if this message does not resonate to you. So if you listen to the Taurus message today and it doesn't resonate for you, then that first portion is for you, and I want you to just have a break and just enjoy love in your life. All right? So for everyone else, reparenting yourself. Certain things within your life, Taurus, that you're starting to understand the way that these things were put into your core, into your foundation, need to change. That you were taught things from a very young age that became a part of who you are and what you believe. Okay, the best sort of examples for this is simple examples, right? That if you were in a certain type of childhood where you were raised to believe that, I'm just going to use a very generic kind of, it may be a little bit triggering for some people, but I do feel as though this is the example that wants to come through. For some of you, if you're raised, for an example, in a specific religion when you are a child, that is what you believe. Everything that you are taught to believe comes from that religion. As you get older, you realize, I don't believe in that religion. I'm actually a different religion or a no religion. So you actually have to stop and reparent yourself and relearn all these lessons that, do you know what, if I believe in abortion, God hates me. No. I don't want to believe that anymore. I choose to reparent myself and tell myself that it's okay to express control over your body. Just as a rough example, I know that may not be the best example, but that's what's sort of coming through, that it's coming through based on religion for some of you here, that, it's kind of like, you hear those stories about people that were raised in cults and, they believe these, what we would consider these wacky ideas because that's what the cult raised them to believe. And then when they leave the cult, it's, they've got to retrain their mind and their way of thinking and their way of feeling that, it's okay for me to actually be out in the world and do things, like you think about if you were born in an Amish family, and you were raised to think that technology is really bad and we don't touch technology, we do everything, we don't even drive cars and all that sort of stuff. You hear about the Amish people and they come out and they, start going out and about in the greater world, and like there's so much stuff they've got to learn and reparent themselves on certain things that they have believed their whole entire lives. This is something along those lines for a lot of you, and because those examples are coming through strongly, I do feel for a lot of you that there may actually be like a religious aspect to this for you, Taurus. Even just as simple as, I was raised to believe in God and now I'm choosing to not believe in God. you know, or like, you know, like me personally, I would say the universe. And I've had some, you know, Reformed Christians that really struggle with hearing me say that, you know, because they're so used to everything being God, 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 God. And then when I use God and the universe interchangeably, it some people really struggle with that. So I am sorry for those people, but, you know, that is part of my own personal belief. Then I would rather, I'm more comfortable saying the universe, or spirit or something along those lines than God. Although, you know, I do still say God here and there. Um, and then everyone gets cranky at me because then I'll say something silly like, you know, don't you know God is Alanis Morissette? That movie, Dogma. Taurus, shadow work message for Taurus. That was like one of my favorite movies, was Dogma. I loved it. Yeah, not saying that this isn't going to be hard, Taurus. We have the mountain coming through. So there's definitely some blockages within yourself that are coming to the surface during this full moon, that you're realizing that, you know, I don't think I need to believe that anymore. I think I need to relearn a new way of believing something. We have the mice here as well, so very heavily to do with the past. You know, it still sort of eats away at you from the past, that this blockage. So it's kind of like it takes from you. It makes you feel less than, makes you, you know, feelings of self-worth are coming in with that as well. It's time to transform and reparent yourself. We have the coffin there. This is a death and a rebirth, okay? Bringing that previous way of belief to an end so that it can be transformed and reborn into a brand new way of thinking, reparenting yourself. Okay, so there's just something there from you know, your core structure. It's probably something that you have believed for a very long time about yourself or about your life or the way that you approach life, that you're needing to make a change. And I feel like a lot of you are wanting to make this change and aware that it's holding you back, that it's you know, it's coming through as a blockage. It's stopping you from achieving, you know, more than stopping you from reaching your true goals, because you have this blockage here, and it's like this giant obstacle to get over. As long as you put in some hard work, you are going to be able to transform that energy for yourself, Taurus. Once again, it takes love. All it takes is some good old-fashioned love for oneself, and love for, you know what, you may trip and stumble, you may fall back down that mountain a couple of times, but you know what, you persevere. You will get over this obstacle, this blockage within yourself, and you will be reborn and transformed into a person that believes, you know, the more correct thing. Because I kind of really do feel that what you learnt as a child was not correct, whether it be for you or for the general of the world. You know, the way that you're reparenting yourself is actually a much better belief structure for you. Okay, Taurus. Advice for Taurus. Advice for Taurus with their shadow work this month, please. Reality. Sometimes a hard pill to swallow, yeah? I am loyal to myself and to others. I take off my mask and stop creating illusions. I have confidence in myself and I show my strengths. I don't need to hide anything. I replace shame with the power of love and truth. So that is pretty much that coffin energy I just said. I replace shame. That's what's coming to an end. The shame, the guilt, the past way of belief is coming to an end, and I'm replacing that with the power of love and truth. Truth of who I really am, truth of where I'm going from here, being reborn into a more honest, truthful version of my own reality. Okay, Taurus, so that's what we have for you. Like I said, if that doesn't resonate for you, not only, would I take that first message of just the general love message, but you are more than welcome to check, your other placements as well. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Geminis. Okay, Gemini. Gemini, what does Gemini need to know right now in regard to shadow work? Gemini, what does Gemini need to know for their shadow work this month? Connection, Gemini. This feels like a specific connection in your life, Gemini, that needs to be brought to the surface a little bit within yourself. We're going to delve straight into clarifying that for you, because it does feel like it's a specific connection in your life. Gemini, shadow work message for our Geminis. I'm also picking up on a message here too, that Gemini, we are currently in Gemini season. So we're having birthdays and things like that. I do feel I'm just getting this specific message here, that for some of you, your birthday has really brought to the surface for you the truth of your connections with your friends and your family and your loved ones, whether that be friends, family, co-workers, partners, whatever. It's kind of brought it all up for you a little bit. I feel like some of you had a rough one this year for the birthday season, that it's making you sort of see a little bit more to the truth of those situations and those connections. Some of you are very much feeling like, no one showed up for me. No one showed up for me for my birthday. Where were they? Why they couldn't even do that? They couldn't even, treat me right on my birthday. Like, I do feel I'm getting a very specific message there, that for some of you, you've had a bit of a rough one this year when it comes to understanding your place in your family, understanding your place in your friendship group, and realizing that, I hate to say it, but that you're not as important as you thought you were to certain people. Hard energy there. For the clarification here, Gemini, it's giving me an overview over this as well. So it kind of tells me that this is all the whole structure of your shadow work is all about the way that we're giving to others and receiving from others. We have the flowers as that overview, so it's all about how much we're giving our time, our love, our energy to people that don't really care about us, and they're not giving us their time, their love, their energy. These one-sided relationships in our life, these one-sided connections where, we are going above and beyond to give to those connections. But hang on, when it's our birthday, they give us nothing. Is that fair? I feel like it's not fair, Gemini. And that's what's coming to the surface for you, for a lot of you here, is you're realizing some of these connections are one-way connections where you just give and give and give and give and give, and this person just takes and takes. There's no give back, and you're kind of like, well, that's it. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I am going to rebel against this. We have the goat here. I am going to, there may be some actual butting of heads coming through here. You may, for some of you, you are trying to resolve some of these connections in a more positive way, where you're trying to make it obvious to others that you're not giving back. I'm giving and giving, and you're not giving back. And you may actually be butting heads with some people here. For others of you, this full moon might be a little bit rough, not going to lie. Because some of you, that can talk about, addictions as well. So some of you may be sort of responding to some of this in a negative kind of way, where we're, you know, falling back into patterns of addictions or things like that. We may be obsessing a little bit much over things, or you know, but ultimately what that all is coming from is that we are rebelling against this idea that we're the only ones giving to a situation. We're rebelling against that, and we're choosing to, we're not dealing with that anymore. I'm not going to deal with that anymore. We have the snake coming through as well. I feel betrayed by this, because this person is, you know, there's a lot of deception and betrayal coming through. Feeling like you're rebelling against anyone that is making you feel betrayed by the lack of give and take. You know, you're feeling deceived. Like, this person says they were going to be there for me, but then when I needed them, where the hell were they? I feel betrayed. I feel deceived. Where were you? We have the Mountain as well. So I do want to say as well here, we do have 2 Capricorn cards. So some of you may have a very strong Capricorn placement as well. Or it's kind of asking for some of you, rather than focusing on the addiction side of the Capricorn energy, focusing on the work side of it. That may actually be a better distraction for you than addiction. You know, addiction and those sorts of behaviors are going to, you know, have a negative impact on your life. Whereas not all the time, but sometimes, you know, work can do, but it may just be a bit more easier for a lot of you to focus on work and just get in your bag at the moment, rather than all this issue and all these people that aren't given anything to you. Just focus on what you can get out of the world, you know, money-wise. Go and get, you know, focus on work for a little bit, get some extra hours or whatever, and just make that money. You know, there is a lot of hard work going to be done for you during this full moon, where, you know, it's hard. It's going to be a bit of a struggle. It's created some blockages within you, because, you know, you don't want to feel this way. You don't want to feel like you've given and given and given, and then bang, where's all these, you know, you betrayed me because you're not giving back. Like, it's a horrible thing to be going through, Gemini. And you know, so it is creating some blockages there, where you are struggling to work through those. And you may feel like every time I, you know, feel like I'm getting somewhere, bang, I fall back again. And, you know, so you may just feel as though there's some obstacles or delays in your path in life in general right now to do with that. But, you know, you're not wrong. If that's what you've been worrying about, Gemini, you're not wrong. It's coming through, and I'm sorry that is happening to you, but, you know, ultimately there's a reason that this is happening, and it's to, you know, put in persevere to actually find people worth giving to, finding people that are going to give back, not continuing to give to people that aren't giving back to you there. Okay. Advice for Gemini for their shadow work, please. Advice for Gemini when it comes to shadow work. New beginnings. Yeah, new beginnings. When one door closes, another will open. I accept the challenges that life brings and acknowledge the opportunities and learning they bring me. So, you know, that's part of this as well, that, you know, all this is an opportunity in disguise to get rid of those people that aren't giving you what you deserve. It is, you know, closing those doors. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it sucks. But other doors will open. It's just a challenge. Once you get through that, you know, it will actually bring you a lot of new opportunities down and new beginnings for yourself. Okay, it's time to just not be afraid to make big moves when it comes to this situation, Gemini. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Cancers. All right. Cancer. Cancer. What does Cancer need to know in regard to shadow work? Shadow work message for Cancer. Ooh, sexual freedom coming through for you, Cancer. So what is going on with that, Cancer? This is coming through in your shadow. Feelings of guilt and shame around sexuality, expressing sexuality, expressing want and need and desire. It is quite clearly telling me guilt and shame. For each and every one of you within the collective, it's going to be slightly different exactly, what part of your sexual freedom that is in regard to. I am hearing things about polyamory coming through, like, and wanting to explore different things, wanting to be involved in different things than what you maybe currently are, or it's because it is sort of pushing towards kink a little bit there as well. Clarifying this message for our Cancers. Shadow work message for Cancer. So whatever it is, it's very much got to do with sexual desire, sexual freedom, sexual expression, sexuality. But it's sitting in your shadow because there's a lot of pent up feelings of guilt and shame and whatnot around that. Cancer, shadow work message for Cancer. Just one more. Shadow work message for Cancer, please. Okay, so that's coming through as a little bit more of a advice overview energy. That fourth card I just drew, that is coming through a little bit more as an overview and advice energy for this message. We have the Fox. Okay, so that kind of tells us to stand tall and independent in our wants and desires here. That you do need to be careful or be clever about the way that you broach these issues or approach this when it comes to people around you. Say what needs to be said. Not necessarily the whole truth, everything but the truth. Being very careful with that kind of thing, because the Fox energy, it's kind of like that I do quite often compare it to like a used car salesman. They will tell you, all the great aspects about the car and, go for a test drive and you'll love it. It'd suit you so well, but they may not tell you, about some underlying issues that are connected to the car and things like that. They sell the positive. They really upsell the positive stuff and don't necessarily tell you absolutely every little fine detail. Which I kind of feel like that's what this is talking about, is being very wary about, clever about the way that you're talking about this sort of stuff, who you're talking about this with, and those sorts of things. You're not in a bad way. You're just sort of making sure you're getting what you need out of the situation rather than the full extent of that. Like, I do feel for some of you here, it's because you maybe are approaching things in a little bit more of a shorter term mode when it comes to sex and sex stuff, sexuality and things like that. You're sort of only worried about the right here, right now, not necessarily where this is taking me long term and things like that. Because we do have the rider coming through first. So that's kind of a little bit of a impulsive rushing into things kind of energy as well. But it is kind of a faster, more shorter term energy, moving very fast when it comes to expressing yourself in a sexual manner, connecting with others sexually. So it's kind of like that jumping into bed straight away kind of thing, jumping into, bed with a stranger. We have the cat there coming through as well. So for some of you, you may be, just exploring the whole one night stand kind of stuff and really wanting to be free with you're just in that mode where, you're it's really, it's coming through in your shadow work though. So it's kind of like you're really, maybe needing to be a little bit more aware of this side of yourself where you are only broaching this in a very short term manner and really maybe actually asking about, well, hang on, what are my long term goals? Is this, is the way that I'm approaching sex taking me towards those long term goals or not? Like, it's kind of giving me a very exploratory energy. But I kind of feel as though it's not necessarily in line with your, it's kind of in the long run, it's hurting you more than, it's hindering more than helping. That kind of energy that you're kind of rushing into things a little bit much, being a little bit impulsive when it comes to, I'm just, you kind of, because it feels like you're kind of telling yourself, I'm just being free. I'm just, exploring. I'm just, taking it as it comes. But I kind of feel as though that's why this is coming through in your shadow, because there's just something about the way that you're approaching sex and connection with sex that is not actually conducive to your long-term goals around that. That's why we're seeing that fox, because the fox is a bit of a player. The fox gets their rocks off and doesn't worry about the ramifications of that. So I suppose that's where we're, having to be careful, because you maybe not, because the fox is very guarded with, the full truth, where maybe it kind of feels like, maybe there is a part of you starting to realize that the way that it's affecting others around you as well is coming through in the shadow energy there. We do see the moth coming through as well, Cancer. So that does sort of let us know that this is kind of all part of your journey, in the sense that you are wanting to just be free to be yourself. But I just feel as though there's just a part of you that is, this isn't actually your true self, and the way that you're currently expressing yourself, it's kind of like you're a little bit of a stranger to yourself, and a stranger to the full expansiveness of who you actually want to be. Because the moth is like, it's a moth. It's been a caterpillar. It's been in that cocoon. But then when it unfurls its wings, you're telling yourself that I'm unfurling my wings and I'm being free and I'm being free. But it's kind of showing me that you actually haven't quite gotten there. You're flying around the same flower rather than using those wings to take you to where you truly want to be. You're just swirling around the same sort of energy, the same flower, thinking that, oh, at least I'm free. But what's the point of being free if you're, only going within that certain radius? you're not actually being the full extent of what you could be on this level. It's kind of like you're flirting with the idea of it all, but it's not actually, you're it feels like you just haven't had the epiphany yet, to be honest, Cancer, that this is not what you actually want. You're kind of telling yourself that, yeah, I'm being really free and expressive and open and da-da-da, but it's just not actually taking you where you really want to be. That's why that cat, the cat can be very skittish energy, very, it can be strangers and things like that, because I am just feeling that this cat energy just seems to be some external influence on this, that it's like this cat is somebody around you that it's kind of like you're kind of putting on a show for. It's kind of like you're being. It's such a weird energy, Cancer. I'm not going to lie. It's like, it is a little bit like you're putting on a show for someone, that someone else is telling you to do this and try this and explore and just be free and da-da-da. But that's kind of going against the truth of what you really want to go towards. And in a way, you're kind of holding yourself back from what you really want, because you're kind of just busy putting on this show for this cat energy. I do feel like there is a friend around you that may be sort of a bit of an influence here. And maybe that's another reason we're seeing that fox energy, is the fox is very independent and stands on its own feet. And that's why it's kind of wanting you to know that you don't have to please or make or do behaviors that you think somebody else expects of you. You can actually just be the true version of yourself and move forwards in that aspect here, because it's kind of like, that's why this is kind of in your shadow, because it's like, it's this false sense of sexual freedom. It's like telling you that you've got sexual freedom, but really you're holding yourself back from, it's not actually sexual freedom you're after. It's a guise. It's a disguise for what you truly want here. I do feel like a lot of you are actually wanting to move towards something that is a little bit more, you know, deeper level kind of stuff. Rather, this seems to be just very surface level, that you're just, I'm just expressing, I'm just exploring, I'm just, but you kind of, why, you don't need to explore if you already know where you want to be. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone's like, if you're someone who, yourself, and this town that I am in, that's where I want to be. That's where I want to stay for the rest of my life. I don't actually want to live anywhere else in the world. But then you're feeling this external influence saying, oh, but have you tried living over there? Have you tried living over here? You got to go and explore. And there's a part of you that knows that it doesn't matter whereabouts in the world that you go and explore and go on adventures to, that you're always going to come back to this one town, but that's your home, So there's something that's just telling you need to go over here, go over there, go over here. But deep down, where home is, where you actually are, and what you actually want, but you're just feeling pressured. I feel like a lot of you to be more open to all these other things, and even though you kind of already know that they're not really, it's just something coming through there about just not being 100% truthful with yourself, like feeling like you need to, expand and explore, and even because you haven't, even though you know that you don't actually need to, because the truth of the matter is that, no, but I already know, like, I don't need to. Like, we're talking about sexual freedom and like I said, sexuality. So maybe that's an analogy you may understand more easily, is that, if you know deep down within yourself that you are completely straight, you're not interested in the same sex on a sexual level, but then someone says to you, but how do you know if you've never tried it? And so you're like, okay, well, okay, I may as well, I'll go and try it then. And you go and explore, a relationship with someone of the same sex. You go and explore a relationship of a non-binary person. But then you know deep down that you're going to come back to, you know what, I'm going to go back to the opposite sex because that's actually what I want. What's the point? Why are you exploring all these other options when you already know the truth? So it just feels like that, if that kind of makes sense. It may not make sense, but it may also. But advice for Cancer with their shadow work, please. Advice for Cancer regarding shadow work, please. Whoa, okay, 2 cards for you, Cancer. Changes. I am getting better. I overcome my weaknesses, build on my strengths, and improve my inner qualities. I'm aware of my progress and spread my wings towards the light. All right, like that moth, yeah? That moth doesn't need to spread its wings just in that one spot. It needs to spread its wings towards the light, towards the changes that it knows, that are truth for it. Manifestation of light. I see my own beauty. I grow and develop my inner self in harmony with light and beauty. I free myself from negativity. My wisdom glows. So you've already got the light of wisdom within you. You already know the truth. You just, you're not necessarily in harmony with that at the moment. You're, for some reason there is this weakness about being drawn into where you think you should be, not where you truly are. I just feel like there's an external influence here, Cancer. You're set to have one of the longest readings of the day. Cancer, how will Cancer know what this external influence is? How will Cancer know what this external influence is, please? We have the communication card, the letter. So I feel like for a lot of you, someone is actually telling you, like it's actually being communicated to you. You should do this, Cancer. You should do that. Kind of like bad advice, not going to lie. So, it's literally being communicated to you. Someone that's telling you, oh, you should branch out, you should grow, you try all this different stuff. That's the bad advice person. Someone that, probably the person that you probably talk to the most, or one of the most. Like, I'm not saying that they're a bad influence or a bad person for you. It's just in this particular instance, they do seem to be. Okay. So there just needs to be some shadow work about, what you're being influenced to do versus the truth within you. Okay. So that's what we have for you. More than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Leos. Okay, Leo, shadow work messages for Leo. What does Leo need to know this month for shadow work, please? Oh, the divine masculine energy, Leo. So that is the divine masculine energies. So we do see a lot of strength, a lot of protection coming through, for you here. I kind of feel like your shadow work message straight away, it wants to let you know that you're protected. Okay, I feel like this is a little bit sidelined. It's not necessarily a full-blown shadow work message per se. This is more wanting you to know that, while you do shadow work, you're protected, that you have the strength to do any shadow work that you need to do, that there is a masculine entity, if you want to put it that way, that is protecting you. I am straight away getting that for some of you, I need to say the word God. For others of you, that is like a spirit guide energy, a guardian angel type energy. The universe is coming through to you in a very masculine way right now. The universe is generally, or God is generally, that balance of feminine and masculine, in divine harmony. Yeah. Yin yang. But right now you've got a lot of the masculine energy surrounding you and protecting you and giving you strength. So there's a lot of, being able to control the chaos within yourself at the moment. So, we'll see why that's wanting to come through for you. If there is, a deeper shadow work message here, or if this is just sort of wanting to provide support at this time. Leo, shadow work message for our Leos. Shadow work messages for Leo. You're almost there, Leo. It's really wanting you to just, have faith in yourself, to know that you're on the right track, that everything is happening for a reason. And, firstly, we have the mountain there coming through, which is the Capricorn card, which can be quite a masculine kind of taking control, being organized, being in control, doing the work, putting in the work, climbing that mountain and getting it done kind of energy for you there, Leo. So it shows me that you have been doing the work. That you've been climbing this mountain for a while now, and it wants you to know that, that you're protected. Any work that you're doing towards your shadow self, that you're persevering with, being determined to get through, those darker sides of yourself, and you're putting in the work to grow and heal and learn more about yourself and the lessons that things going on in your life are giving you here. You're actually about to reach the precipice of this mountain. You're nearly at the top, Leo. Okay, very protected while you're doing this. It's kind of like the universe is kind of saying, I'm going to catch you if you fall. If you start falling and slipping back down that mountain, I'm right here behind you, ready to catch you and push you up the rest of the way. Because we see that leading straight into the sun and the child. Okay, and the sun is your card, Leo. Happiness being revealed to you, you're about to have all these. It's like you get to the top of this mountain and it's been dark and dreary and, nighttime even. And you get to the top of this mountain and all of a sudden you can see the sunrise. Brand new day, brand new world. You can see for miles at the top of this mountain, and you're just so happy that you've made it. You've done all the work to get here, and now I can see the sun, and it's coming up and shining, and all this stuff is being revealed to me that I didn't even know was up here. I'm seeing so much. Life is just amazing adventure ahead of me. With that child card, that's what you're sort of, you're having this epiphany that I've put so much work in. Now it's time for me to just, bask in the light and enjoy the adventure. That this is a brand new sunset, a brand new beginning, a brand new day. Pardon me, Leo. This child is like, it's only a child. It's still got its whole life ahead of it. It's that child. It's that energy of a child saying, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. When I grow up, I'm going to be a policeman or, whatever. when I grow up, I can be anything. And that's what you're coming out into the light going, do you know what? When I grow up, I can be whatever I want. I can do with my life whatever I want. I can go wherever I want from here. I've already put in so much hard work that I know that, the next part of the adventure is going to be amazing, and I can go, I can take that as far as I want. There's not really limits for me here. It's all just happiness, fun, enjoying life, enjoying the moment from here on out. What a beautiful message, Leo. I kind of really love that for you. I think that's the most positive message we've had so far today. Leo, advice for Leo with this full moon. Dispersion. I take one thing at a time and focus on the present moment. I get rid of my doubts and all my fears dissipate. I find peace in my life. So you know what? Just keep on climbing that mountain, Leo. Just take it one step at a time, and you're about to step out into the sun. All right, you're going to be finding that peace in your life. You really are on the right track. You have been doing your work, whether you believe it or not, and you are very protected. You've got all the strength of the universe behind you at this time. Love that for you. And I'm a Leo rising, so I'm going to take that for myself as well. I'm not going to lie. You're more than welcome to check your other placements, but why would you want to? But subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to Virgo. Okay, Virgo. Shadow work message for our Virgos. What does Virgo need to know in regard to shadow work? Virgo. Dating. Being asked to actually get a second card for you, Virgo. Love. Okay, so this is actually to do with, the way that we're approaching love, and the way that we're, because dating is the early stages of romance, of a relationship. In order to have a relationship, we need to go through that dating phase. It's like, it's kind of showing me here that blocks, like I'm seeing blocks of, like this goes here and then that goes there, and then that can happen and then that can happen. It's focusing on that very first block, Virgo, the dating block, where we're establishing each other before we even move into commitment with each other. I kind of feel like some of you, have we been skipping the dating period? Have we been jumping straight into relationships without that getting to know you phase, without that test run phase, without that taking things slow and steady? It does feel like there's jumping in kind of happening here. And that's why you're being really asked here to focus on the dating phase of connections. That's that phase where, you like, look at that. You show up at someone's balcony with flowers. Or I'm an 80s kid, so it's like you show up in the rain with a boombox, or those sorts of things. You show up and you take them out and ask them out on a date, and go on an actual date with this person. You romance them, regardless of what gender you are, or how you do that in relationships. There's always that phase of, romancing each other and getting to know each other, wanting to spend time with each other so that we can get to know each other. And I just feel as though for some of you here, we've just totally missed it. There's just something missing from that point. That very first point. It's like, did we not romance somebody before we committed to them? Did we not take things slow and just jumped into something? What's going on there, Virgo? It's like it just feels like there's a fundamental issue with the dating phase. And I'm not going to lie, I'm picking it up here, Virgo, that if you were to look back through all your prior relationships, They've all started in a very similar way. Are you somebody that jumps from here to there to here to there to here to there? Are you someone that, jumps straight into a relationship when you've broken up with somebody and you don't actually give yourself that time to heal before you do start dating again? It may be that for some of you. So while you're dating people, you're actually going through the emotions of a breakup while you're actually dating somebody. Like there's just some sort of fundamental, I don't want to say flaw, but it's in your shadow. It's in your shadow. It's something you need to look at within yourself of why do I do this? Why is this my pattern? It feels like a pattern, like a cycle that you've been stuck in, Virgo. Shadow work message for Virgo, please. Shadow work message for our Virgos. Like, and it, I'm just kind of getting like, have you always moved in together super quick? Are you someone that, you jump to the I love yous immediately and all those sorts of things, We have the Snake card first. So is it that we're not actually taking time to romance each other, that we're jumping straight into the sex? That is my sex card. That is the physical attraction card. Are you dating people that it just starts off as a sex thing? Is that your pattern? There is an element here of it's kind of telling me a little bit here that one of the keywords for the Snake card is illusions, right? And delusions, like deluding yourself into thinking something is a certain way or has to be a certain way. Asking me to ask you here, Virgo, is that part of the illusion that you've created for yourself, that it's very important during the dating phase to have sex, to jump quickly into a physical relationship with somebody, or that for some of you, there's someone here within the Virgo collective that it's as long as we're compatible and I'm attracted to this person on a physical level, then I'm going to jump straight on into a connection. And I'm going to, I feel like for someone here, there's a issue where you're allowing yourself to believe the illusion that physical attraction and sexual attraction equals love, because you're not going through that dating phase where you're actually taking all the other things into consideration, a spiritual connection, an emotional connection, all that sort of stuff. Actual romantic connection, We have the Whip here. Is there an element of punishing yourself? Are you conflicted about this, Virgo? Trouble, tension, dramas, fighting. For some of you here, you're jumping straight into things because you're fighting having to deal with other things. So once again, I'm being given that example of people jumping, dealing with a breakup while you're in a dating phase of someone new. That's how you deal with conflict, is you date someone new. As soon as you have a conflict with somebody, that I'll just go and find somebody else. We also have the Child. Ugh. Once again, some confronting messages sometimes with the shadow work stuff, yeah? The Child card is letting us know that there is some immaturity there, that there's a need for you to mature and grow with the way that you're approaching dating, love life. All right, that, this is going to continue to be a problem for you until you face the fact that you're still approaching this in a very immature kind of way. And it's not necessarily immature, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, because it's a pattern, right? It's coming through as a pattern, part of your cycle here, Virgo. So it's kind of like the way that you dated when you were in high school. Yeah. When you're in school and you were dating somebody, the way that you were dating somebody then, you're still approaching it in the same way now. And for some of you, this has been 10, 20, 30, 40 years even or more since high school, but you're still dating people in the same way that you were dating people back then. So there's just a need for growth and trying things in a more mature kind of a way. Just because it's more mature, like, I'm not saying that it's a good or bad thing here, Virgo. I'm just saying that it's a different thing for a lot of you, because your pattern that's the pattern you've been stuck in, and now you're kind of wondering why you keep getting that same pattern. It's because you're not actually changing anything about the way that you are approaching the dating phase. Because when we're in high school, we go, oh, you're cute, let's date. And, next thing you know, oh, okay, well, we had a fight, so we broke up, and I'm just going to go date him now. And we broke up, so I'm just going to go date him now. It's just asking you to think about it in an honest manner to yourself here, Virgo. Like, I know it feels a little bit confronting, and it might be triggering some of you here, but it's the way it's coming through. Advice for Virgo with their shadow work, please. Advice for Virgo with shadow work messages. Appreciate. I realize the light in my life. I direct my thoughts to the beauty within and around me. I thank the universe for every little thing that brings me joy and happiness. As a result, I inspire my thoughts. Wealth surrounds me, and I am grateful for everything that life has brought me. So gratitude, appreciation of, what you have had, and appreciation not only of all that, but, of the opportunity to learn and grow and mature. Like, that's part of life, Virgo, is to grow and mature. And if you stop and think about, are you approaching this the same way you were 10, 20, 30 years ago? Maybe it's time to start appreciate. Well, you know what? I'm grateful. I appreciate the fact that I've, that's how things have worked for me, and I've been able to, not worry about that up until now. But you know what? I think it is time for me to, finally move forward and try things in a different kind of way, more mature kinds of ways. All right, but that's what we have for you today. You are more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel. And we will move on over to Libra. Okay. Libra, what does Libra need to know in regards to shadow work this month? What does Libra need to know for their shadow work this month, please? Okay, Libra. Ooh, the distorted feminine. Okay, so when it comes to the feminine and masculine energy, we do have, the divine as well as the distorted versions of the feminine. Okay, so the distorted feminine is the one that does still need some advancements, that's why this is in the shadow, obviously, because there is still some things we're needing to work through within our feminine energy. So the distorted feminine, feminine in general, is a lot to do with the emotional side of ourselves and the way that we nurture ourselves emotionally and grow things within our life. So the distorted feminine is quite stagnant and doesn't really promote that growth quite as much. And it does basically, it's those emotions that hold us back a little bit. Sorry about that. That was just the puppy sneaking through there. So the distorted really does, hold those emotions back, the negative emotions a little bit there. And it's kind of like, the way I kind of like to describe it is, we all kind of know that there are certain terms that get used in the greater world there that are generally assigned to feminine energy, and words like bitch and hoe and those sorts of words, that, or gossip, or those sorts of things that we would class as negative feminine energies. All right, so this is looking at those aspects within yourself and how they're impacting your life and how they're holding your emotional self back a little bit. So it's looking at those in your shadow in order to develop those things in and take have part of them, part of you. It doesn't have to be changing those things as much as accepting those things are a part of who you are. And that's part of the energy, and you can actually develop those things and make them a divine feminine energy rather than a distorted. So as an example there, the things like gossip, I love gossip. I'm not I'm not gonna lie about that. I am a bit of a gossip queen. It's not that I like to gossip, it's that I like to hear gossip, but when I was younger, I definitely would have been somebody who would have engaged in, gossip and bitchiness, I suppose, and judgment in a judgmental kind of a way. Whereas these days, I enjoy gossip as I just like to hear everybody else's gossip. I don't want to be involved in gossip, and I don't want to, be gossip, and I don't want to, be gossipy about and judgmental about other people's stuff, but I still enjoy hearing other people's gossip, and in a more divine feminine kind of a way. I've developed, watching certain shows on TV, reality shows especially seem to be a good one, to get that feel of gossip, without actually having that distorted energy coming through within your own self. So you're accepting that is a part of who you are, that you like gossip, that's just a lot of feminines, we are brought up in that sort of way anyway, that gossip is just normal kind of thing. We enjoy talking, and that's just an extension of that. But to be able to find more divine, peaceful ways to embrace that energy within ourselves seems to be the clue there, Libra. Okay, but we'll have a look with the lenormand as well. Libra, shadow work message for our Libra. Shadow work messages for Libra. Straight away, I am just getting straight off that first card. We have the fox coming through firstly. So the fox is where, sometimes that energy, that in a distorted manner, the fox can be that gossipy kind of energy where you're saying what you think people want to hear, and you're playing games, mind games with people, I suppose. You're being a little bit manipulative with the way that you are gossiping, and it is a little bit judgmental, and it's trying to change other people's perceptions of people by embracing that behavior. Whereas the divine aspect of the fox is, do you know what? We're actually being very logical and rational about what we are saying here. Yes, we're still, saying what we need to say in order to survive and get through, but we're not doing it in a way that is, hurtful. And we're, acting from, it's still very much acting from self-interest, but we're doing it in a much more intelligent kind of a way where we're standing up for ourselves, and sometimes that's where it's coming from rather than the negative aspects as such. All right, so the fox really does want you to do what you need to do to survive, be very clever and intelligent about the way that you're approaching things, but also, being very well aware of, when does that cross that line of me being selfish or me being judgmental, or, me playing mind games with somebody and being a little bit manipulative, and not allowing yourself to cross that line, so to speak, because we do have the octopus as well, so that can be a little bit skeevy sometimes. It's another jewel kind of energy where it can be a little bit slimy, a little bit skeevy energy sometimes. So if you're in that distorted feminine energy, it is a little bit slimy behavior. It's not so much you're doing it for survival, but you start doing it for a game, and that's when it's a bit skeevy. We don't want to be doing that. But the octopus in the more divine elements, it's someone who, I can multitask. I can do a million things at once, and I can be honest about that over here, and I can be honest about that over there. But I'm actually using it to embrace cleverness and embrace intelligence. Octopus are very, very intelligent creatures. And it's like with the 8 arms, they can do 8 different things at once. So are we going to let one of those 8 things or a couple of those 8 things, be things that are from distorted energy, from chaos energy, from, unevolved kind of energy there? Or are we going to, use the full extent of our cleverness and use that as a tool to propel us further when we need to really multitask, I suppose. For a lot of you here, there is this multitasking energy coming through as well, that there may be multiple elements of distorted feminine that are sort of attacking your shadow at the moment, and you're maybe noticing a few things there that are all kind of playing into each other, and making it harder for you to be across all the different things, because I do kind of feel that for a lot of you, because we do have the rose there as well, so it does sort of show us that this is to do with relationships. And with the fox and the rose both coming through with that octopus, for some of you this is that distorted feminine that is dipping their pen in multiple ink pots, playing games with multiple people, trying to be across all different, trying to multitask. It's kind of that energy. I'm not going to lie, Libra. It's that energy of having a different person for each night of the week kind of energy. But it's coming through. It's more so coming through for you here, Libra, as friendships that you're trying to play this one off against that one and this one off against that one, and that's where the multitasking is coming through. And you're using things like gossip and bitchiness to, really separate each arm, and you're trying to play them all off against each other, so that you come out on top, kind of thing. So just be aware of that. It is coming through. I'm not saying these things to be harsh or anything like that, but this is why it's your shadow side. Yeah, it's the things that we see about ourselves that are a little bit darker, that we need to embrace and accept, and find a way to turn those things back to the light, and balance them out with light within ourselves. But we'll have a look here, Libra, with advice for you. Advice for Libra with their shadow work, please. Advice for Libra with shadow. Whoa, okay. So straight away, Libra, we've actually got 2 have come out for you, and straight away it does want to call a couple of you out. When I said, someone who's, that sensation of, a different person for every night of the week, we have fidelity coming through. I am committed to my mind, heart, and will. I am committed to fulfilling the needs of my soul. I believe in myself and in the universe. Okay, so you're needing to find a little bit more loyalty, not just within your groupings, but within yourself, and trusting yourself a little bit more, and being more committed to, blending your body, your mind, and your soul all to the one purpose, rather than allowing yourself to, put a little bit over here, a little bit over there, that octopus kind of energy where you're putting things all over the place. You need to be a bit more loyal to have, everything coming together as one. So it doesn't matter which friend you're hanging out with, you can tell them something, and you're not going to have to adjust what you're saying to each different person within the group or anything like that. We do have trust coming through as well. I believe in life and my strength. Every moment guides me to the light. Everything on the road to growth is for my progress. Okay, so this is, trusting that this is all coming up to the surface for a reason, because it's allowing you to know that you're on the right path, and that you are progressing, and that this is all just part of, you know, learning. And you know, we all have things that we struggle with here and there, and it just feels as though like at the moment it just seems to be that distorted feminine energy. And like I said, with that I was getting a lot of those sort of keywords of like bitchiness, hoe, and gossip, and you know, those sorts of things that we would you know, society ascribes to feminine and as negatives. So it's finding a way to turn those back into positive energies for yourself, within yourself, being a little bit more loyal to stand a solid ground of being the same person you are with everyone around you, not showing, you know, not being different versions of yourself for different people, standing true to being the one solid version of yourself. Okay, so that's what we have for you. You are more than welcome to check your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to Scorpio, last but not least. Okay, Scorpio, what's going on for Scorpio this month for the full moon? What does Scorpio need to know in regard to shadow work for June, please? Quite a few people have got this similar sort of energy here, Scorpio, not going to lie. Especially if you're a feminine and you may be on the cusp of Libra, I really would check out that Libra reading as well if you are on the cusp and you do sort of have unbalanced, if you're aware that you have unbalanced feminine energy at the moment, maybe check that one out as well. But we do have maturity coming through for you here, Scorpio. So ideas about, you know, there's just some growth that needs to happen within ourselves and our life. Just 1 second. I've got the puppy over here causing chaos. 1 second. Sorry about that, Scorpio. That actually does, though, very much correlate to the messages that are coming through at the moment for you. Because, you know, I don't know whether you guys have seen some of my other videos recently. I do currently have a puppy with me. It's only a temporary thing. He's only with me for about a month or so. But it's kind of like, I was saying to someone, I get that really interesting stage, right, where the puppy and they're like a total little rat bag, and you've got to train them and, you know, go through the toilet training, go through the behavior training with the puppy. And then by the time the puppy goes to his forever home, I'm like, oh, he's going to be great by the time he gets there. But for me, I'm the one, you know, dealing with the crazy little puppy stage of you know, the training process, you know. And that's what I'm kind of getting for you here, that it's kind of like, it's, you know, it's going to be a little bit confronting. I'm not going to lie. Okay, Scorpio, it's time to grow up. It's time to retrain yourself, train yourself to be an adult and not be the same version of yourself that you've been in the past, and continue to be that same version of yourself, and think that we don't need to grow and learn in this lifetime. It's time to face facts that everybody needs to learn and grow, you know, especially those of us that have been through a lot in our lives, that we need to actually, you know, there comes a time when we do need to stop feeling like we're the victim of all those things and start realizing that we are the survivor, and that in order to continue to survive and to not have the past haunt us every single day, that we need to learn the lessons from what that had to give us. You know, those things happen for a reason, and the more that we sit there and dwell on this happened and that happened and this happened, you know, you're bringing that into your present as well as your future, and so those things can continue to hurt you, you know, every single day, because you're not changing the version of yourself into the more developed version of yourself. If that kind of makes sense, that it's coming through very strongly here, that it's time to grow up. Like, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're acting like a child. It doesn't mean that at all. It's just coming through in that sense of it's time to actually stop holding on to the past so strongly, because you're holding yourself back from the wisdom that can be gained. Because, when we see maturity, what comes through with maturity? Wisdom seems to be, the main keyword connected to the word maturity is wisdom. And that's what you're just missing here, is that, you may be getting older in body, but are we getting older in soul and mind, as we progress body as well? That it's time to catch up a little bit with the wisdom side of things. What can we learn from the past instead of reliving the past continually? So sorry if that's a little bit triggering for some of you there, but that's what I'm getting coming through. I'm just the messenger, guys. I just say what comes through. But Scorpio, shadow work messages for Scorpio. Like, and it's not saying that you can't still be, young and fun and all that sort of stuff and playful and all that. That's not it at all. It's maturity about the way that we're developing within our own self, that wisdom to know better, to not make the same mistakes we've made in the past, to not allow ourselves to be drawn into the past over and over and over again. I have been picking up two very distinct factions within the Scorpio energy as well, that some of you have been on this journey already, and you're, so it's probably not as triggering for you to hear that, because you're already on that journey. You're already trying to grow and heal and develop yourself, and a lot of you are doing really well at that. I have some close Scorpio friends, and you're doing amazing. Like, you've been going through it and doing a lot. But there's a few others of you that needed to hear it a little bit harsher. So I am sorry for those of you that did trigger. Scorpio, shadow work message for Scorpio, please. The tree, growth, maturity, wisdom. It's the exact same message. Finding maturity and wisdom within the way that we're healing, the way that we're growing, the way that we're taking care of ourselves. Okay, so it's wanting to really needle it into you there, Scorpio. Taking care of yourself. The way that you're taking care of yourself. The way that you're not taking care of yourself. It's time to mature and understand that. Sorry, Scorpio. That you do need to take care of yourself. Even if the habit is to not. Even if you are unsure how to take care of yourself and how to love yourself and heal and grow. It's time to start trying. It's time to start branching out. And, if something's not working, try a different branch. If you're this tree and you're trying this 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 and it's not working, try something different. Try doing it differently. Okay. We have the Tower. So the past is very prominent here, and that's what's been holding you back. I do want to say, like, I am strongly picking up that I've got two distinct factions, I want to say, within the Scorpios. And I want to say that I personally know, and I spend time with, pretty much every single week, a close Scorpio friend. And they are in the faction where this is not the case. They're actually the ones giving other people this advice. Why are you, Scorpio, that, I'm going to be like, the main Scorpios that I'm talking to here, I'm going to call you Scorpio Collective, yeah? But there are a couple of other Scorpios that are kind of the not the norm. They're sitting outside the Scorpio energy because they're already doing it. They're already doing it. Why is the collective as a whole, why are you letting some of the other Scorpios make you look bad? Kind of thing, Scorpio. Like I hate, like I really do hate to be so harsh. But it's like you're holding yourself back. The Scorpios that are in the collective, you've probably been isolating yourself. You've probably been trying to do things in a very regimented way. This has got to be like this. This has got to be like that. I can only try this. I can only try that. If that's not working, try something new. If you're getting the same result as you have last time, try something different. If you want a different result, try something different. That's why these other Scorpios, they've tried something different. And do you know what? It started working. And it's propelled them into the stratosphere. You know what I mean? Like it's propelled them into the point where you want to be. Okay, so I'm sorry to be so blunt and harsh with this, Scorpio, but it is coming through that the universe is wanting me to be harsh about this. That you are only hurting yourself further by allowing the past to be in your present and by not trying to approach it in a different way than what isn't working. It's not working. We also have the dog here. So for some of you, ask another Scorpio. Find a Scorpio that is in that faction that are moving ahead. Ask them for advice on how did you do it? What different did you do? Help me. Ask your friends. You need to start being a little bit more loyal to yourself in the sense of, I'm going to steadfastly be loyal to trying something else, to try to look after myself, to try to grow, to try to heal. I'm going to stand stronger and loyal and understanding and compassionate towards myself. I deserve to heal. I deserve to grow. I deserve to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. And isolating myself from my friends is not helping. Isolating myself from other people is not helping. Telling myself that, I'm the authority, I'm the one regimented, it's got to be like this, it's got to be like that, is not helping. Ask, how did you do it? How what's your advice for me? How can I rely on other people a little bit more? Okay. Advice for Scorpio. Advice for Scorpio Collective with shadow work, please. Advice for Scorpio when it comes to shadow work. Divine light. I am an expression of love and I shine like the sun. My inner light is my strength and my wealth. My intuition guides me to discover a better side of myself. All the beauty and the light within you, Scorpio, is trying to push you in this direction. Trying to push you to discover a better side of oneself. It exists. Stop telling yourself that it doesn't, because it does. I just want to grab a card or two for the Scorpios watching that. If you know, you know, right? You know I haven't included you in that original Scorpio message because you've been doing the work so hard. Scorpio, the extra Scorpios, please. The minority of the Scorpio. Yeah. one more for the extra Scorpios, please, on their shadow work. You're on the right path. The crossroads. You are on the right path already. All right. There's not really much shadow work to worry about, to be completely honest, this month. For my extra Scorpios, it's just keep on walking. Just keep on walking. Just keep on moving forward. We also have the moon. Make sure we're trusting our intuition. For those of you who are vested in the journey and the work, keep deciding to face the emotions and deal with the emotions and progress the emotions, focusing on emotions for your shadow work, and focusing on intuitive awareness. Okay, following your intuition, intuitive awareness. Okay, and I know my Scorpio extras are. I think 2 of you are in my my education group. I might even do it as a public reading anyway, about intuitive awareness and developing intuitive awareness. But let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys want, because I am willing to do an education on intuitive awareness, and how to develop intuition a little bit more. All right. So that's what I've got for you today. You're more than welcome to check out other placements. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, guys. I really do appreciate that. And I will see you all again soon.